testing testing， 听到吗？听到 clear 吗 ？OK， 现在我把这个放在下面。Mic test， 听到吗 ？Okay, is it clear? Not very clear. Okay, this one that means I can I see? Okay. Okay, I'll try putting one in, and then this one I put here. Welcome to today's workshop. Mic test, mic test. Can hear? Yeah. Okay, then I think can lah. Just leave it. This mic is very sensitive. Hello. Wow, so sensitive one. Okay. Okay, hi everyone. Good evening. Can everyone online hear me? Can I get a mic check for the online participant? Oh, okay, nice. So today we are going to, okay, wait, my name is Dalton. I am the GDG App Department Lead for this year. And today we're going to be learning about Backend Bootcamp with FastAPI. So this workshop is intended for people who has basic Python knowledge, but not FastAPI or API knowledge in general. So I'm going to cover the basics of what API is so that you guys can understand what are APIs. Then only I will start with the coding part, okay? So before we start, there's a checklist for everyone to download. Wait, yeah. So can everyone take maybe 5 minutes to download all of these things or to make sure that you guys have all of these things installed? So it includes Python, API client like Bruno or Postman, UV, as well as IDE that you prefer. So for me, I'm using VS Code, but you guys can use Cursor, Windsurf, up to you. Yeah. For UV, if you guys don't know how to install UV, I will teach you guys later. But for the other three, you guys should install it first. Okay? And please scan this QR code or go to this link for the API documentation for this workshop. There you will find the code as well as the explanation for all the content in the workshop. Yeah. So I'll give you guys like 5 minutes to download these things.
You can't see your face.
Huh, cannot see my face. Like this is not viewable. Wait.
I think they will focus on the slide.
Okay, then the slide can see it. Slide. Yeah. Okay, can see then. Yeah. The karaoke is. Okay. Is everyone done scanning this? Is okay. Everyone done scanning? I might not show this QR code again, so you guys try to like take down the link. So it's like bit.ly dot slash gdgoc fast API docs. Okay. You guys will need the documentation for later because I'll be copy pasting code from this documentation, and you guys might not be able to follow if you guys don't scan it. Yeah. So okay, I'm going to move on. Okay. Is everyone on the spot? Good. Good. Need more time? Anyone need more time? Need more time? Cannot connect. Cannot. Okay, wait up. All right, so before we start, it is important to let everyone know what an API is. I'm sure everyone have heard of the word API, but we don't normally get an understanding on what it really is or what it means. So essentially, we'll break down the API into three words, right? It stands for Application Programming Interface. And to understand what each of these is, essentially application stands for the fact that each API has an underlying system in the back end. You guys may not be able to see the system directly, but it exists. So there is an application underneath. Programming stands for the way that you call the API. You're not calling it graphically, you're not calling it in CLI, you're calling it programmatically in your code. So that's why it's called application programming. And then lastly, interface. The reason why it's called interface is because you guys don't see the logic of the the code that you guys are calling. You guys only call the endpoint. So may I know if you guys have experienced calling API before? Do you guys have any experience calling API? Any experience? Okay, got one. Yeah, you will notice that the documentation typically don't show you the logic. They will only show you what function you can call. That's it, and it just works. So the reason is because all these are abstracted behind the interface. Okay, just like a remote control. When you click volume up, volume down, you just know it works. You don't know how it works, you just know it works. So that's what we call like an interface. Okay. And in normal, like modern days, you're gonna hear the word REST API a lot, right? You guys have probably heard of SOAP as well, SOAP REST as well. So RESTful API stands for Representational State Transfer. The reason why it is called REST is because representational stands for the fact that you're dealing with representation of something. So for example, this graph maybe this graph is the difficulty of my assignment, right? Do you guys know my assignment? You guys don't know my assignment, right? But you guys can see a representation of my assignment's difficulty going up as I progress. So that's all you know. It's just a representation. State, sorry for the venue next door, you didn't know. Okay, so state refers to the current condition of the data. So as students enter the classroom, right, the amount of students is increasing. So the state is constantly changing. Each time someone asks me how many students in the classroom, I can give a different answer based on the current state. So that's what state means. It's just the current condition of data. Transfer means moving from one system to another system. So RESTful means representational state transfer. We are transferring a state of resources from one system to another system. So that's what it means. So the reason why REST API is important is because we have different services that are coded in different languages. So for example, our front end can be in Next.js or Flutter, and our back end can be in Python, it can be in Ruby, Java, PHP. I'm sure you guys have dealt with many of these situations before. Like Clerk is maybe in Java, you guys need to use Clerk, so you guys have to call the API. So the way that we do it in modern times is we use this thing called JSON, which is a data format that is shared among all of the services that we use. So no matter if you're using Java, no matter if you're using Python, we all communicate with each other via JSON. So that's why it allows us to collaborate with each other without having to install Python on a machine, without having to install like Ruby on my machine. Yeah, I can still use your function from your computer through JSON. Okay, so speaking about JSON, we need to understand that there are a few types of data formats in API. There are JSON, which is the most common type, which stands for like JavaScript object notation. There's also XML, which is more legacy, but is commonly used in banking industries. If you've ever worked in banking, you guys might come across XML. Then lastly, we have YAML. YAML is the least common language for API because although it is very easy for human to read it, because the syntax is like Python, it is actually very hard for machine to read YAML. So it takes a long time for machine to process it, which increases latency. That's why JSON is the most common. It's lightweight and it's fast for machine to read. So far, everyone in the classroom is understand, right? Okay, am I going too fast? It's okay, right? All right. So before we continue, we also have to understand the structure of an HTTP request. So as you guys can see on the slides, right, there's this picture on the right-hand side, which has an endpoint, a method, a header, and a body. So I will give an example on what each of these are. A request endpoint is basically the address that you are calling the resources in. It can be someone else's house. For example, if you want to deliver a mail, you will give the address of your recipient's house address, right? So this is the same thing. You're giving a URL address that belongs to someone, a place that you want to visit. Okay. Method essentially it is what you want the mailman to do. So imagine you want the mailman to go to someone's house to pick up something, or to drop off something, or to replace something. That is the method, the request method. So there are examples like get, post, put, delete. So these are basically just instructions. There are also request headers. The way that request headers are primarily used essentially is to store the metadata of the request. This includes who it's coming from. Who are you? Maybe you are, you know, when you are calling, for example, Gemini's API, you need API key, right? When you send a request, that key is attached in the header for the system to know, oh, it's coming from, for example, from Suzanne or from Dalton, you know, then I know how to, whether this person has the authority to use my API. That's verified in the header. Header is also important to identify what browser the user is using. So for example, if I access this website from Mozilla Firefox, then I need to return a content that is compatible with Mozilla Firefox compared to Chrome. So that's where header stores the data. Lastly, for body, the body is the main payload of the JSON. It contains all the data that you are sending to the server and the server is sending back to you. So essentially everything you need to tell the server is dumped into the body. This is essentially the letter inside the mailbox. It's the actual content itself. Okay, and then I'll just quickly go through this because we kind of like went through it a little bit earlier. So to give an analogy, get is basically to pick up something. Post is to deliver something. Patch is to fix or edit something. Put it is to completely replace something. So if I want to put a data, it means I will completely replace from the old version to a new version. And delete is to destroy an item. Okay. There are also other request methods, but I won't cover them. These are the most common ones. Okay, this is a little bit hard to understand, but I hope the example helps. So there are two types of parameters for endpoints, path and query. I mean query and path. Basically, path parameters looks like this. So there is a base URL slash a endpoint slash another endpoint. So this is identified via indexes, which means, right, you are accessing the product release under the news category. It's hierarchical, meaning if you swap the location, oh, what is this? Yeah, okay. If you swap the location of product release and news, right, it will no longer work because the folder is hierarchical. So the tip here is that the position matters, you cannot sort, and the common use case is that it is used to identify a specific location of a resource. Whereas compared to query parameters, right, if you guys search cat on Google now, you guys will receive something like this on your Google right now. You will see that if you type cat, you have this question mark, client equals to Firefox, I'm using Firefox. And Q equals to cat means query is equals to cat. This tells Google, the search engine, that you're looking for cat. And in this case, right, the breakdown is client is Firefox, query is cat. And you can swap the position, meaning you can swap query first, then client later. It will still work the exact same way. Okay, so query parameters are denoted by question mark and also ampersand symbol. Okay, so far so clear, right? We're going to be using both of these later in our project. And okay, this is the last one. So status code, this is important for anyone that deals with API to understand. So there are status code from 100, 200, 300, 400, and 500 range. But 100 and 300 is rarely ever used in API. We will normally use 200, 400, and 500. 300 sometimes. But the important one is to understand what they mean. So 200 range, you guys might be see before, 200 or 201, it means successful. So when you receive a 200 request, it means that your success went through and the server processed your request successfully. But if you guys get a 400 range, it means that it is your fault. It failed, it is your fault. Maybe you're trying to access a resource that you're not authorized to access. So you get 403 forbidden. Or you're trying to access a resource that doesn't exist. So you get 404 not found. It is your fault. 500, it means it's the server fault. Maybe the server is down at the moment or the server is overloaded. So your request isn't wrong, but the server errored because we don't have enough resources. So that's what the status code mean. So that's all for the introduction for the API. So far, do you guys have any question? Because this is quite foundational and it's important for you all to understand before we continue. Everyone all good? All good. Okay, am I too slow? Should I move faster? No, good. Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, so right now we're gonna begin coding. All right, so before we begin coding, I want you guys to install this thing called UV. So just go to your Google now and type UV Package Manager. Wait, I think I'm sharing the wrong screen. Hold on, over here. You guys type this on Google, UV Package Manager, and then click on the first GitHub link, this one, Astro /UV extremely fast Python package and project something. Click on it. Okay, and then from here, right, I want you guys to scroll all the way down, and you guys will be able to see the download link. So on Mac OS, you guys have to type this into your, on Windows, you guys have to type this into your terminal. Can you guys find this page? If not, I can share it into the Discord. Discord pula, Bebby. Let me paste it into Bebby. Yeah. So that is the link. So I'll let you guys download first on your terminal. You guys might have to run your terminal as administrator to download this. Yeah. So I'll give you guys 2 minutes. Oh, maybe it will be a good idea to show you guys how it looks like. So after you guys download, right? Oh my God, it's so big. Yeah. Let's shrink this. Okay. After you guys download, you guys just type UV -- version. You guys should see something like this. Yeah. Okay. While you guys are downloading, right? Let me share the QR code again for people who just joined. So for the ones that just joined, please scan the documentation link. You guys will need it for later. Okay. Okay. I will continue. So is everyone downloaded the UV package manager? Okay. The rest need more time? Okay, so while you guys are doing that, there's also another thing you guys can download, which is called Bruno. This one, this doc. So if you guys never heard of Bruno before, it is actually like Postman or Insomnia REST, but it's invented by the same person as Insomnia REST. I'm not sure if you guys heard of this before. Insomnia REST. This one. The UI is very pretty for this one, but basically the creator invented another one because Insomnia was bought by a company and it's basically out of his control. The reason why I recommend Bruno is because it's Git integrated, meaning that you can commit the Bruno configuration to GitHub. You can also feed it to the LLM to ask LLM to code for you. So that's quite good. Yeah, you guys can just download it if you guys haven't yet. I'll be using Bruno for later. So there's 2 things, yeah, UV and Bruno, as well as Python, if you guys haven't had Python installed yet. Okay, okay, I can show the terminal version again. It's like this. Just type uv dash version. Okay. All right. While I'm at it, I'll show you guys the documentation link on the Ready platform. Let me share for you guys. Okay, so I'm gonna begin, okay? Is everyone okay? I will start, yeah? So first of all, open up any folder you want to code in. I'll be using my D drive. So I'll show you guys. I'll be using my D drive. I'll put it inside maybe Python project. And then I'll call it, you can call it anything you want lah. For me, I'll call it like FastAPI GDGOC workshop. Okay, then inside this folder, inside your empty folder, right, you guys want to open your terminal. Open your terminal in the folder. So if you guys don't know how to do this, just go into this folder, click on here, type cmd. It will open a terminal from this directory. Just type code dot or cursor dot if you're using cursor. And you'll open up like an empty project like this, like me. Yeah. Try to do this first. Make sure that you guys are not using your OneDrive, yeah. So how to check that? You guys just type print working directory. Then you guys can see your project folder. Make sure it's not in OneDrive. If it's in OneDrive, it might not run properly. Okay. Is all good? Everyone okay? All right. So before we start, right, have you guys ever heard of Conda, Anaconda, or Miniconda? Have you guys heard of it? Do you guys know what it does? Do you guys know what Conda does? Wait, how many of you guys have heard of Conda for Python? Conda. Okay. Do you guys know what it does? Yes. Correct. Yes, because if you don't use Conda, you install everything globally, right? And it becomes very bloated. Your whole laptop becomes really big because different assignment has different requirements, different dependencies. That's why it's good to create a virtual environment. But Conda is like not my preferred way of doing virtual environment because UV exists. So I'll teach you guys how to create a virtual environment using UV, and it's very easy. So look at my terminal. You guys can see my terminal, right? I don't know why it's just so big, but it's okay. You guys can see my terminal, right? Okay, so just follow what I type, UV, VEV, UV virtual environment, and then name anything you want. So maybe I will name it as GDGOC environment. Oh my God, it's so cursed. Wait. Okay, yeah, this is better. And then after that, I want you guys to create a Python version for it. So basically, you can create a Python version by using dash Python equals to Python. For me, I'll be using 3.11 like this. So just type this command into your terminal in VS Code. Yeah. Okay. So once you enter this command, I'm gonna enter. Okay. Okay, I'll enter. Okay. Hey, error. Sorry, guys. Wait. 3.11 not found. Hold on. Oh, sorry, guys. It is double dash. Yeah. So double dash Python equals to Python 3.11. Okay, done. Now you guys are gonna see a new folder is created called GDGOC environment. This is gonna be your virtual environment. This is gonna be where your Python is stored and all your dependencies are installed here. Not gonna affect your laptop at all. Okay. So to activate this environment, you guys can see here, right? Activate with gdgoc/script/activate. So I'm gonna copy this. Let me copy and then I paste. Okay, so I pasted in my terminal already. You guys can see, right? I just enter. Once I enter, you guys can see that there's this thing called bracket gdgoc environment. And basically now what it means is I'm already inside this folder. Whatever I do now is going to be in this folder. It's not going to affect my PC. Okay, even if I install like 1 terabyte of Python dependency, it's going to be here. Okay, so is everyone able to follow? Can, right? Okay, I'm going to move on. So assuming that you guys are already in here, I want you guys to do one more thing. Try to use Control-Shift-P to open up your search here on Visual Studio Code. For cursor, it's the same. Control-Shift-P, and then type select interpreter. This one. Do you guys see this first option? Then choose this GDGOC environment. Under the select interpreter, choose GDGOC environment or whatever environment you created. That is for good measure in case your ID hasn't swapped to that environment yet. Okay, so now that is done, I want you guys to install the FastAPI dependency. So in here, in your terminal again, type uv pip install, this one, FastAPI standard. Make sure you have to square bracket standard. Don't just install FastAPI. Okay, uv pip install FastAPI bracket standard. You guys can click enter already. I'll just hover over here first. So I'll click enter in 3 seconds. 2, 1. Okay, once you click enter, you're gonna see like a bunch of things executing and it's done because UV is very fast. So now you will see that you have installed all of these dependencies, right? But over here, you're not gonna be able to tell, like, where's my dependency? I don't see it. So a good idea is, first of all, check whether FastAPI is correctly installed. So just type FastAPI -- version. You guys should be able to see like a version, like for example, for me it's version 007. So if you guys can see it, means you guys correctly installed it already. Okay, now for you guys to save the dependencies, type uv pip freeze, and then do the greater than requirement.txt. What you're telling terminal to do here is you want to freeze the current dependencies into a file called requirements.txt. So in the future, you can download it again if you switch computer. Okay, so I'm gonna enter now, uv pip freeze, requirement.txt. All these are in the documentation as well. Okay, now if you guys check your right-hand side, you guys can actually see the requirement.txt file. Even the version of each of the dependencies is listed down for you guys. So that's the beauty of using UV as a package manager for Python instead of using pip. Okay, there are more to UV than just this. Okay, so far everyone can follow. Online also can follow. The recording, you'll be able to access it later. But I saw last time, right, the recording took too long. It automatically cut off. So it's split into two lah. So maybe you have to watch two recording, but you will be there. Yeah, okay. Are you guys able to follow? No? Do you want me to go back or anything? Okay, wait, I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. Wait, hello? Okay. May I know if everyone is done? No. Okay, wait. I'll give you guys more time. Sorry, we got some more. Okay. I continue. Can. Okay. I'll start in one more minute, but I will cover something very important. So just now, many of you guys have this problem called set execution policy, right? And they will say it's restricted, right? So just have to search on Google to make it unrestricted. and you just have to copy this thing. Do not copy the scope, just copy this. Go to terminal, run as admin, and then just paste it in, like that. Then your terminal should work already. You just have to restart it, then it will work. Okay, so I'm going to move on from this. Is everyone okay? Can, right? I think you guys are further than me already. Some of you guys started the next part. Nice. Okay, so now that you guys are done downloading the dependency, let's begin learning the fundamentals. So first of all, I want you guys to create your new folder in your root directory, and we're going to call it src, okay? Source. In your source file, create another folder called basic. So it's a folder within a folder, and within that folder, create main.py. Yeah, that's all. So just you guys can see the breadcrumb, right? The breadcrumb is like source basic main.py. Yeah, just create this hierarchy. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is just to import FastAPI. So because I'm holding a mic, I can't really type properly. So I'm just going to copy from the documentation which you guys have and just paste it in. So basically, import FastAPI like this. And then the next line is you need to instantiate it. So you are calling an instance of FastAPI and saving it into app as a variable. Then after that, you just need to create a simple endpoint like this. Okay. Now that you guys done this right, you guys will be able to run this and test it out. So I'll give you guys a moment to copy this first. So you guys will be able to see the whole code here. In the bottom, simply type fast API dev and then src/basic/main.py in your terminal. Fast API dev src/basic/main.py. Once you enter, hold on, fast API dev basic must be greater than or equals to 0. Hold on. Invoke from with 0 argument. Give me a moment. Yeah, okay. I don't know what happened just now, but basically just type fast API dev and then src/basic/main.py. What you guys will do here is to create a server, specifically a UV icon server or a UV current server, and it is hosted on localhost 8000. So right now, if you guys were to go to localhost 8000, you guys will see this endpoint. So I'm going to open my Mozilla Firefox. So this is my Mozilla. I recommend you guys to use Mozilla as well for you guys to see the result very clearly. So I'm going to go to localhost 8000 and enter. You guys will see welcome to McDonald's over here. The reason why is because I have a root endpoint that triggers the getRoot function that returns a JSON message called welcome to McDonald's. And it's currently hosted in this file called 17127. This is localhost 8000. So that's how FastAPI works. It's quite easy. Yeah, now you can see it's in this directory. So for people who are wondering, okay, let me check. Yeah. So if you guys are using Chrome, right, or like for example Edge, you guys will also see something similar, just not formatted like as pretty. So localhost 8000. You guys will see something like this. So welcome to McDonald's. Is everyone able to see this screen? Okay. All right. I will move on. Okay. So essentially, what you're doing is sending a GET request to the server, and the server is responding by giving you back a payload. Now, before we move on, right, I want to teach you guys how to access this using Bruno or Postman or Insomnia, depending on what you guys want to use. So for me, I'm using Bruno. So this is Bruno. Have you guys downloaded it yet? Okay, so in Bruno, right, you guys won't have any of this folder. So don't worry, just go to the triple dot here and create collection. You guys will be able to see this function called create collection. Click on it, and then just name it whatever you want. I will just name it GDGOC dash FastAPI dash workshop. Okay, and in this location, right, you can see it's asking you for a location. Just give the location of your current project. So right now, my current project is in here. And the folder name is going to be called GDGOC FastAPI Workshop. But for me personally, I'm going to edit the folder name and call it Bruno as a folder. I don't want it to be named after this. I'll just call the folder name Bruno. Okay. So once you guys able to do this, just click create and then check your VS Code and see what happens inside your VS Code. You will see a new folder. So I'll continue. Click on create. You can see collection created. Now, if you go to VS Code, you will see that in my file directory, there's a new folder called Bruno, and there's a configuration file in JSON called bruno.json. So this is going to be where we're going to be adding our API client data, and we can commit this to GitHub to track with our friends. Okay, while you guys are here, go to your extension and search for Bruno. You guys will have this option to download this Bruno extension. This allows you to read the .dru file that you will generate later. So just download it if you guys want to format your document. It's a Bruno formatter. Okay, so now that, okay. Okay, so now that we are done with this part, let's continue to the next part. So this, you guys can see we are just getting the root endpoint. What if we want to get an endpoint that's not a root? So in this case, let's try to, oh, sorry, before, we haven't even finished Bruno yet, my bad. So go back to Bruno, click on the FastAPI Workshop folder. You will see two options, either safe mode or developer mode. So we just go with developer mode because we know what we're doing. So just click on save. And then after this, in this FastAPI Workshop, right, create a new folder called basic, like this. And then click a new request in here. This new request, just call it get root. And the URL is going to be http localhost 8000. And make sure it's a get request. So I'm going to create. You guys will be able to see that there's a get request under the basic folder. And if I send it, it's going to say welcome to McDonald's. So is everyone able to follow? It doesn't matter if you guys are not using Bruno, by the way. You guys can use anything you want, as long as you can ping the backend. Okay, so I'll stop here for a bit. Anyone need help? Okay. All right, so before I continue, right, I will teach you guys a simple trick on Bruno. Later on, you guys will have to keep repeating the local host again and again because you'll be going to slash budget or slash transaction. So let's say I don't want to keep repeating the local host again and again. It's very long and I don't want to type so much. I can just create an environment. So let me copy this on Bruno, go to environment, configure, create environment. Okay, again, I do this slowly. So go to the top right, click on this No Environment tab, go down to Configure, click on the Configure tab, go to Create Environment. Name this Dev. So we are in Dev environment, so we're going to be using localhost. Create. After we create, in this drop down, in this pop-up box, add a variable called base URL and paste the value. You can name this whatever you want. You can even name it as B. If you are lazy to type so long, just B also work. But like for me, I'll just name it as base URL, so it's clear for everyone. But this is typed to this value. So now if I save it, so that I can save now, it will say successful, right? And you can see my environment is selected with dev. Last time it was no environment, now it's dev. So I can go up and I delete this whole thing and change the thing to base URL. Wait, yeah, like this. So this represents the localhost 8000, and if I click on this send request, right, it's going to say the same thing, welcome to McDonald's, meaning it works. So next time I can just base URL slash something rather than localhost, it's very long. Yeah. So that's how we can optimize Bruno. All right, so I'm going to move on. Oh, sorry. Next to what bracket? Oh, this is curly bracket, the JavaScript JSON curly bracket. Let me show you. Curly bracket. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Can yeah, this one. But make it 2 times. So curly and then base URL. Okay. So now let's continue. So now that we have the base root URL, right? Let's try to add in more things for our API endpoint. So first of all, let me go to a new line. We try to add an endpoint with a path parameter. So in your documentation, you guys will be able to see this function. I'll just paste it in and I'll explain to you guys. So over here, right, we are calling the add function using a decorator, and we're creating a get method. And this get method will be posted, will be sent to this endpoint called /greet/name. And you can notice that the name is actually surrounded by a curly bracket because it's a template for you to fill in later. And within this URL, we create a async function that is called greetUser that takes in a name parameter of type string and returns a dictionary. Dictionary is basically JSON. Dictionary is JSON. Basically, you can think of it like that. Yeah. So once we return this is like a JSON format. It's using a template literal to format the name. So it will say, hi name, welcome to McDonald's. Okay, so to test this out, you can use both ways as well. So let me try to first save it first. Make sure you click Control S to save the whole document. Then go to your browser and type /greet/your name. So for example, my name is Dalton. You will say, hi Dalton, welcome to McDonald's. So you can see that Dalton is dynamically being put in via the URL. Let me just drag it open. Yeah, you guys can see my URL. So you can change the name to anyone, like for example, I'll change to Shu. It will say, hi Shu, welcome to McDonald's. So this is how the path parameter is working. So everyone can follow so far. Can, right? So same thing, I'll teach you guys how to do it in Bruno. Just right click, create a new request. This one I'll call it greet user. And then the URL is going to be base URL. And then /greet. And over here, it's /name. So you guys can see it's a bit different. I type /name rather than /Dalton. The reason is because if I create this endpoint, you can see now it's red color, right? Because over here, there's a table for us to fill in our name. So if I type Dalton at the bottom here and I click on save, it's going to become green color, which means that it's referring to Dalton. And if I send this, it's going to say, hi Dalton, welcome to McDonald's. So Bruno does this fill out for you. Yeah, so you can change the variable here as well. Okay. So all good, right? All good, no? Okay. Okay. Hello. Okay. I think most of you guys are up to speed already with the project. I will move on. So this is a good example of path parameter because it's accepting a attribute like a variable here in the path itself located at the end of the URL. So now let's try to work with query parameter. Okay. So in your documentation as well, you can find this code. So let me go to my code editor now. I'll paste this inside. So this is an example of a query parameter. As you can see, right, in the URL, we're not trying to retrieve any variable. It's just /greet. But in our function, we have two variable, which is name and restaurant. So that what this means is, right, in the URL, we are not expecting any variable, but in the function, we are expecting two variable. So this tells FastAPI that we are going to supply it via query parameters. Okay, so you can find this code in your documentation under part 3, FastAPI basic, endpoint with query parameter. To test this endpoint, what we'll do is we'll open up Bruno. I'm going to create a new request. This is going to be get, I think it's get user, greet user with restaurant. So you guys can name this anything you want. Sorry if I type slow, I'm using one hand. Okay, just type base URL. And then under the base URL, just type /greet. And then make sure it's a get request. Click create. Now over here, right, if you send this, it's gonna say not found because you didn't include any query parameter. To include it, just under this query tag here, right, click add param. And then after you add a param, you type user as the name and your name as the variable, like that. And then after that, add one more param and type restaurant as the name, and then maybe you can type KFC or whatever restaurant you want to go, and then send. Wait, why is it not found? Hold on. Let me check my endpoint. Oh, it's because I haven't saved it yet. So if I save it now, okay, it's gonna restart. Okay, it restarted. Now if I send it, it's gonna say, oh, missing. Oh, it's not user, it's name. Yeah, see? So it's name and restaurant. And you can see the URL is followed by question mark, name equals Dalton, and restaurant equals KFC. That's why we are able to get this response using query parameters. Okay, so far so clear? Okay, right? All right, so now I'm gonna continue with the next part. Okay, the next part is gonna be a mix of both query and path parameters. So you'll see this sometimes in documentation pages like on OpenAI, when you have an endpoint and then you are sorting it by latest date, then they will do like query parameters. So go back to your documentation and then find the code. I'll paste it here. It will be tagged with this comment. Yeah. So over here, you can see that we are collecting the name via a path parameter, but we're also collecting a phone number via the query parameter. So this is a mix of path and query parameters. And then after that, we're returning a profile of name and phone number. That's what we're doing. So control save. You can see that the application startup complete. Now I'm going to go to Bruno. Yeah. So yeah, it's a little bit like repetitive at the start because I'm creating so many requests. But I guess it's to teach everyone like how it works. So for this one is get profile. And then in here, just paste URL. And then profile. And then over here, you must include a name as well because it's a path parameter. Like this. Oh, oops. Okay. Then type your name into the path parameter and add a query parameter called phone number. And then add your phone number. Like that. And you can send it. Save. Send. Yeah. So this is how the response will look like. This way, right, you can see that we are supplying the path parameter as well as the query parameter in one single request. So we are mixing both of them. Yeah. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is a request with body. So, sorry. The next thing is request with optional query parameter. So basically, right, sometimes you want your parameter like phone number to be optional. That means that you want the user to be able to omit certain data while still passing their request. In this case, it's important to import this thing called optional, which is a type from Python's library. So let me just show you guys how to do that. So over here, just type from typing import optional. So you're importing a type called optional, which allows Python to disable null check for this specific variable. And then under here, I gave an example of creating an endpoint called /points with a path parameter of name, but with an optional parameter of points, where it defaults to 0 if I didn't give any value. Yeah, so if I were to create to test it, so I'll just say get points. Yeah, so over here, right, if I were to send this, how come it says not found? Did I not save it? Oh, I didn't save. Yeah, if I click send, it's gonna say, hi Dalton, you have 0 points. The reason is because I don't have any query parameter. It's optional. But if I were to type points over here in the query parameter and I put like 612 and I click send, it's gonna say I have 612 points. So this is how you can make something optional. Okay, so that's how it works. Is everyone following? Following, right? Not following, okay. Sorry? I can't hear you. Oh, the code, okay. Okay. Do you want the documentation? Okay. Okay, so, oh, yeah. Okay, I'm going to continue with the next part. So we have about 1.5 hours left. I will try my best to keep it slow while still making it possible to finish. Let's continue with the next part. The next part is going to be a little bit difficult because it's going to be dealing with Pydantic. So have you guys heard of Pydantic before? No. Have you guys heard of Zod for JavaScript? ZOD, Zod? No. Okay. So basically, right? Okay, wait, do you guys know Java? Yes. Okay. There's a difference between Java and Python. The difference is that in Java, everything has a type. So for example, I want to declare a name, I must type string name, right? Because I need to tell Java that name is a type of string. But in Python, you don't have to do that. They automatically convert it to string, which is a bit dangerous because when I send you a request, the data type matters. I don't want you to misinterpret my data from string to integer or integer to string. So to fix that, we use Pydantic, which forces Python to behave like Java, where they force something like string, integer, or data types onto a variable. So I'll show you like kind of what it means. Let me just paste this code first. Okay, I will have to minimize this. All right, it starts from here. So I'll explain line by line what I'm doing. So at line 39 here, I am going to Pydantic, which is installed on your machine when you type install FastAPI. So it's together with FastAPI. Pydantic, you import this thing called base model. Base model is basically a super class that you're going to inherit later on. And then UUID is basically a random ID generator. And FastAPI import status. So status, just now I taught before, you have 200, 300, 400, 500. Essentially, it's a place where we communicate the status of our application to the front end. Okay, so over here, right, this is where the hard part is, I think, like for people. So first of all, we are creating a class called order create model. Okay, class is basically a blueprint. You are creating a blueprint. And basically you're saying that this blueprint is called order create model, and I'm extending the features of base model. So in Java, you write something like this. So in Java, you write something like this, right? Class order create model extends base model. This means that you're inheriting whatever is in base model. In Python, this is what it does. Order create model extends base model. Base model is coming from Pydantic. What it does is it allows you to declare things like this, which is very clean. So what is this? Basically, I'm telling Python, hey, Python, I have an ID inside the create model called, which is a type of UUID that defaults to none. I also have a type of main, which is the main dish in my McDonald's order. I have a side dish. I also have a drink. But the side dish and the drink is actually optional, and it's a type of string. So essentially what I'm doing, right, is I'm telling Python to expect a certain value and also to expect that value to be of a certain type. So now, if I say I am expecting a order create model, it knows that it's expecting quantity of integer type, as well as price of float type, as well as main of string type. So it forces the backend to expect a certain format so that it can do its job. Or else, if you don't do this, I can simply send a payload to the backend and the backend will not be able to process it. Okay, so far this thing is just a blueprint. And status is a string that defaults to preparing. That this is what it means. Okay. Does anyone have any question to ask about this first? Because it's quite important to understand. Yes.
What's UUID?
UUID stands for Universal Unique Identifier. So basically, if you ever heard of UUID 4, it's basically, let me show you. All UUID 4. All UUID 4. Okay, so there's a website called everyuuid.com. Essentially, what it does is it shows you all the possible combination of UUID in the whole world. And you can see, right, you keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. There is too many to actually guess correctly. Essentially, what it does is it generates a random string that assigns it to an object so that it becomes unique. The chance of it duplicating is very small, and even if it does, it will overwrite and regenerate again. Python will do it for you. So it's just a universal unique ID rather than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like ID 1, ID 2, ID 3. We're just generating a random string. Okay. Anyone else? Any question? No? Okay. So basically now we are creating this model, right? What we are doing is we're passing this model into here. So under this create order function, we are expecting an order of type order create model. This means that we must pass in all the variable here into this order endpoint in the body when we're sending a request. So take a moment to digest. Another key point is that we're using post. Post only is used when we want to send something to a server. Get is used when we want to retrieve something from a server. This time we're sending something to a server, which is our own McDonald's order. So that's why we are going to send it to stash order using a post request with a body of type order create model. If it's successful, it will return us a status code of status.http 200.01 created. And also it returns us this payload called your order is successful. Yeah. So in order for us to test this endpoint, we have to go to Bruno again and create a different type of request. Make sure it is post. So we have been creating get all the time. Now we just create post request. This is just going to be called order, I think. The endpoint is called create order. Create order. Yeah, so slash order, I'll create it. Now over here, right, you will realize that, let me just close the others first. Okay, you'll realize that if I were to send this thing empty, it's gonna say missing body. This is actually thrown by Pydantic. So with Pydantic, it tells us, hey, you know, we're not gonna process your order because you're missing a body. So let me go add a body now, add a JSON. So in your Bruno, right, click on body, click on JSON. Now you have a body. Okay, now I have a body already. Let me send it. Oh, it says still missing because I'm empty, right? So let me send something. Like that, okay? I'll send something like this to the endpoint. If I send this, it's gonna say missing main, which is the main dish. It's also missing quantity. It's also missing price. This means that Pydantic is enforcing all these attributes on the sender. So that's why it's actually quite useful. So now I know that I have to include a main dish, which is maybe like chicken nugget, like that. And then I want to include what else? Price, right? And also quantity. So I'll include quantity as well. One, and then I'll price. Like let's say it's like 1 ringgit 50 cent. Then if I send it now, it's gonna say successful, and it says order created successfully. So you can see here, main is chicken nugget, quantity is 1, price is 1.5, and side and drink is null because it's optional. Remember, in our Pydantic, we make it optional. That's why it's able to pass through. Yeah, so the status is preparing by default. Okay, so is everyone okay with this? Understand? Clear, right? Okay. So, okay, yeah, okay. Okay, I'm gonna continue. Seems like everyone is doing well. Okay. All right. So the next thing is now that we understand how the body works, right? Or also like you guys can have fun lah. Like now side is null, right? You can add side like fries and all of that to make it more interesting for you guys. Why I call it fries? Side. Yeah. Then if I send it, it's gonna say fries here. So yeah. Okay. Anyway, now that the body is done, let's go ahead with the header. So we're gonna create a function called update order, and it's only gonna be doable by the staff. Only staff can execute it. So it's gonna come with some sort of authentication, but it's a very basic authentication. So inside your documentation, you have this code starting from here. So just to make sure everyone has the documentation, right? Does anyone don't have documentation? Have, right? Okay. So in the first line here, you are importing this thing called header, as well as this thing called HTTP exception. This is an exception that we throw if we think that the person who tried to access our endpoint is not authorized to access it. Then we create a order update model, which is expected from the body of the sender. It includes a UUID that they want to edit, as well as the status that they want to edit. Remember, it used to be preparing. So if they want to edit to done, they have to provide it here in the status. Then this endpoint is going to be /staff/update order status. It's going to expect a update data, and it's also going to expect a staff name. Okay, this staff name is going to come from the header. That's why we import the header at the top just now. See? It's going to be coming from the header. Okay, later I'll show you guys how to add the header. Now, in this case, I have a dictionary called staff, okay, a list called staff, and there are 3 staff, Rudori, Sharky, and Pao. You can actually change this to your own name, like you can name anything you want, but these are the staff that are working in the branch of McDonald's I'm working in, okay? So later on, right, if the staff name doesn't match this staff name, it will fail, okay? So that's why it says here, like if not staff name or staff name is not in staff, basically, it will just throw the exception. Only staff can update. Else, it will pass it. So this is what the function does, basically. So let's test it out. I will just speed run the creation. Also, notice that it's a patch. It's a patch endpoint, I mean a method, because it's updating. Okay, so let me just update order. Okay, so I'll create over here. Inside here, if I send it, it's gonna say not found because, wait, I haven't saved it, I think. Yeah, I haven't saved it. That's why it's not found. Now, if I send it, it's gonna say no. I think it's because I underscore this when it's supposed to be dash. Okay, now if I send it, yeah, it's gonna say missing body. So I'll just send the body. So the body is gonna be like very simple, maybe like this. I have this in documentation. So this is the ID and this is done. So I changed the status of this ID to done. Okay. If I send it now, it's gonna say only staff can update order. The reason is because inside header, there's no staff name. Whereas in our code, we have this thing called staff name. So now over here, we have to add staff name. But the thing is, pay attention. Staff name in our assignment, I keep saying assignment. Okay, in our code base is underscore, but in our Bruno file here or your Postman file is actually dash, not underscore. Don't type staff underscore name. Type staff dash name. The reason is because in web standard, everything in header is kebab cased. So everything is like one kebab. Yeah, that's why if you guys if you guys ever check out like your request, right? Let me go to like, maybe I open up my network tab and I send a request. You guys will see that content dash length is kebab case, content dash type is kebab, kebab. You can see everything is dash. Yeah, that's why it's a standard for web applications to have a dash. Then after this, you just type Udori or whatever stuff that's inside, and you click on send. Then you say updated by staff. Okay. If you guys send something that's not in the staff list, for example, I'll send like maybe my own name, Dalton, it's gonna say only staff can update the order. So that's how the authentication for API works in a simple way. Yeah. Okay. All right. So now I'm gonna move on. I think everyone is okay. Yep. Okay. Be right back. Okay. All right. So that's how headers work. Hopefully, it's not too overwhelming for everyone. The good news is that we're at the end of the basic workshop. We can start with the budget tracking project soon. But before we finish, I just want you guys to check out something really cool. So if you guys go to logo 8000, right, and type DOCS, docs, wait, wait. Yeah, if you guys go to the slash docs page, right, you guys will be able to see the FastAPI documentation. So all of these things are the endpoints that we created. Like for example, get profile name. We can always type our name in and try it out. So like if I want to type our name and then like phone number, it can be anything. You can see that it returns us a response body. Yeah, so basically you have a documentation built in into FastAPI, which is very convenient for developers. Yeah, okay. So this is something cool that you guys can check out lah. Okay, now we have about 1 hour left for our workshop, which means we have to be a bit faster. Are you guys okay with so far the understanding of FastAPI? Okay, right? Okay, later there will be a lot of copy pasting because we don't have time. I hope everyone is okay with that. Okay, so now just go back to part 4 of the documentation. So go to VS Code now. Close this. Okay, under SRC folder, I want you guys to create a new folder. This folder can be called anything you want, but I will call it budget. Okay, because budget tracker, so I'll just call it budget. Make sure it is outside of your basics folder. Okay. And then in budget, just create main.py, just the same way you did in your basic main.py. Okay. So far, all good, right? Yeah. Okay. Now in your part 4 budget tracker documentation, you're gonna find this thing called transaction.py. So just basically create a new file called transaction.py, transactions.py, and then paste the code from the Notion inside like this. Are you guys able to find the code in documentation? Yeah, just paste the the transactions list inside the transactions.py file. This will serve as the mock data or the JSON file for you guys to start off with. It's like a starter pack. Okay, so far so good. Is everyone able to follow? Okay. Okay, wait, I see everyone a bit stressed now, so I'll just chill a bit. Check out everyone first. Okay. All right, so okay, so I'm gonna continue. So later, after you guys created the transactions.py file, make sure you save it, okay? Then create another file called schema.py. The reason why I let you guys paste it is because you guys already understand like what the code does. Just now when we covered it using the basics. So just copy and then paste it here. So essentially, you guys, I'll just briefly go over each of these things. So transaction type is a class that inherits from enum, and I'm just declaring two type of transaction, either income or expense. If I don't give income or expense, it will then give me an error. Same as account type. I'm only allowing touch and go, bank, and cash. I'm not allowing PayPal. If someone were to send PayPal to my endpoint, it will fail. Okay? So that's actually what I'm doing in this case. And this is how the response model looks like. This is how the create model looks like, balanced and summary. So that's what the code is doing. It's expecting total income, total expense, net balance, all these things. Okay. I think these are quite straightforward. If you guys need me to answer some questions, I'm also okay. If not, I'll move on. I think I'll just move on first. All right. So lastly, you guys will have a function, a file called utils.py. So let me just create a file called utils.py. In utils.py, it is basically all the functions that we'll be calling. So for example, like get next ID, get date, get transaction. All these are basically Python functions that we are calling. It's all written in Python syntax. And yeah, and if you guys don't know where this transaction is coming from, we are actually importing the transactions from transactions.py. So that's why these three files, they are actually working with each other by importing each other. So feel free to explore the logic on your own. I believe you guys will be able to understand. If not, I can explain it later as well after the workshop. Yeah, okay. So far, okay, right? I can move on to the FastAPI. All right. Everyone look very stressed. Okay. Okay, so in your main.py, oh, let me save this first. And I'll close, and close. In your main.py, import all the dependencies that I listed here. So these are found in the documentation as well. Essentially, you are just importing all of the models as well as all of the methods that you have created from other files, like utils, schema, and all of those things. Okay? And similarly, we're instantiating an instance of app, like we did in the previous basics course. Okay, so just dependencies. Okay, next we need to create a function that can return us all the transaction. So let's create that. So this is the function, the get function under the endpoint / transaction. It's going to return us a list of transactions, response model, and it's going to call a function called get all transaction. Now, it's a bit overwhelming, but essentially, right, if you look at transactions.py, you will see that each transaction is marked with an ID, type, amount, date, description, category, and account. Similarly, if you look at transaction response model type in schema, each transaction response is marked with ID, type, amount, date, description, category, amount, which is identical to this. So I'm just creating a data type for all of this data. So it is type safe. Okay, and it's just going to call the get all transaction function in utils, which will return this one. It will just return transactions, which are imported from transactions.py. So now I'll just click on save. And then you can open up your terminal again. So at this point, right, your terminal is actually still running the old FastAPI instance. Now you want to refresh it to run the new FastAPI instance in your budget project. So click on Control-C to shut down the server. And then again, FastAPI dev src, instead of /basic, try to /budget. Because now you're in the budget folder, right? You're no longer in the basics folder. So activate this folder. Now you'll be able to call any function within this folder. So let's try it out with the transaction. endpoint. So I'll go into Bruno. I'll create a new folder in Bruno called budget, like this. New request, get transactions. So it will be base URL / transactions. And now if I click on send, you'll be able to retrieve all of the transactions from our transactions.py by calling this endpoint. So is everyone able to do this? Wow, so fast. Is okay, able to do? All right, so this is basically like how you are going to retrieve something from the back end in the future if you're integrating with a database. Right now, I'm not teaching database because it's a bit out of scope. Yeah, I'm just using in-memory data, like transactions over here, but it will still work for the purpose of this workshop. Okay, let's move on. We are able to get all transactions, right? Now let's try to get specific transactions. So in order to get specific transactions, we will make use of path parameters like this. So you can see that we are declaring a function called /transaction/ID, which is expecting an ID. And then it will check whether the ID exists. If it doesn't exist, it will raise a HTTP exception with a 404 not found status. And it will tell you, hey, this ID is not found. Okay? Else, it will return that transaction. So let's test it out as well for this transaction. Please stop me if I'm too fast. Oh. Okay. Transaction. Okay, so over here, right, you guys can see that if I select ID 1, it's going to return me the first item on this list, which is the income, which is salary for May 2,000 ringgit. If I were to send the IDs to 3, it will be expense, which is lunch with friends, and it's 50 ringgit. So these are like the searchable like path parameters. And if you try to search something that doesn't exist, like 999, if you search it, it will say that it doesn't exist. And you see the status is 404 not found. Yeah. So that's how it's working in the back end. Okay. If you make it something that can be found, it will be 200 okay. And it will return you the data. Okay. All right. So after getting the specific transactions, let's move on to create transactions. So for create transactions, we're going to be using a post request. So let me just paste it. So it's quite simple. Just tag app.post under the transaction endpoint, and then expect a type of transaction of transaction create model type. And then it will call the function called add transaction, which is in utils, to send the transaction to be added. Yeah. The difficult part is inside the logic, but I already did it for you guys in utils. So in the API schema, I just have to call that logic. Yeah. So that's just the endpoint. And you guys can also test it as well. So I'll just show you guys how to do it. Create. Transaction. Invalid. Oh. So over here, right, I created a new item called income with amount 2000 scholarship education bank, and it says created successfully. How can I verify this? I can just go and get all transactions. So right now there's only 5, right? If I run again, it's gonna get 6 transactions. Now if I try to spam this 1, 2, 3, it's gonna, and I click on this again, it's gonna retrieve up until 9. So these are the transactions that I'm creating from using the post method, which I can see in here. So one more way to check it is that in get transaction, if I were to search for ID number 10, it will not exist yet, right? But if I were to create a transaction, I send it. Now if I try to get ID number 10, it's gonna exist. So proving that it has now been added to the memory. Yeah. So I'll take a break here. I'll try to help whoever has issues. Hello? Okay, sorry. I'll try to finish the rest so that you guys can like be let go early as well. I think some of you guys already finished the whole thing. So I'll just catch up to you guys actually. So now that we have created a transaction, let's go ahead and update a transaction. So to update it, just go to your documentation and paste this code inside. So this is just going to be a patch request towards a specific transaction ID. And essentially, it's just going to replace it with new data. So or if it doesn't find it, it will say it's not found. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to go to Bruno, and I'll test it out with you guys. Update. Update transaction. This is patch base URL. This is update. Oh no, transaction slash ID, and this is one. Yeah, so it works. So as you guys can see, right, right now ID2 is an income with 200, right? I can actually update it from ID2 to become 3,000 like that, 300 like that. Then if I send this request, ID2 is now updated to 300. And if I get all transaction again, you can see that ID2 is successfully updated to 300. So proving that the endpoint work as we intend it to work. Yeah. So that's for patching. You guys can explore the code yourself and ask me if you guys don't understand. Okay. And last three is delete. So let's go to the delete one. So when we paste our delete function here, it's just an endpoint that starts with delete, and we need to provide a specific ID, and it will then find the ID using the function I created in utils. And if it's not found, it will say the ID is not found. If it's found, it's going to delete it and return us the deleted transaction list. Yeah, so how it will look like, I'll show you guys using Bruno again. Yeah, so this is going to be delete transaction. It's going to be base URL slash Okay, so as you guys can see, I asked the API to delete ID number one, right? So now it returns us a new list that don't have ID number one. Let me delete ID number three as well. Now, this list will not have ID number three. If you want to get all parameter, it won't have ID number three. And if I want to search for ID number three, it will say not found, because we deleted it already using our delete endpoint. Okay, I hope all these are quite easy to understand. Yeah, so I'll just continue with the last two, then I will open the ground for questions if any. If not, I will let you guys scan for your attendance and you can go early. Yeah, so the next part is get balance. So over here, yeah, this is the get balance endpoint. You basically supply an account, and this account has to be a type of account type, which remember is actually touch and go, bank or cash. Other than that, it will fail. And it will then compile all the result and return it to you. So it's quite easy to test this. So just have to create another request, get account balance, this URL slash balance slash account. So if I want to get my Touch and Go account, you can see that my total income for Touch and Go is 300 and my total expense for Touch and Go is 0, like that. If I go and add a new transaction, like for example, a new income for Touch and Go, so I'm gonna add a new transaction, send it. Now, if I want to get the balance, this should increase. As you can see, it increased to 600 because it's compiling all the things that is in this list. Yeah, so that's how it works. Also, every time you save your server will refresh, which also refresh the memory. That's why sometimes the things that you deleted will remain when you relaunch the server next time. This is not persistent because database connection is not covered. That's the persistent one. Okay, lastly, we have get balance, which is an overall balance. This will return all the account combined. So let's test that out as well. Okay. And yeah, that's it. So base URL slash balance retrieve all of the total income, total expense, net balance, as well as all the transactions that is inside. So there's 5 transactions, cash, bank, and touch and go. Yeah. So that's all for today's workshop. I hope you guys learned something new for FastAPI. I hope it's also simple enough where it's easy to digest. And yeah, thank you guys for coming to the workshop. Yay! Thank you, thank you. Okay, so yay, we finished early. Yeah, so if you guys want to get a badge, you guys can scan the QR code and mark your attendance. This will be for our committee to read. It's like a feedback form for us. And you guys will be getting a badge. I can show you guys the badge. Canva badges. Canva badges. Yeah. Yeah, wait, let me just show you guys the thing here. And then I'll drag this somewhere else. Yeah, so basically after you guys scan this QR code, please give us an email address that's real because we'll be emailing you the badge. And the way you receive the badge is basically you have to log into this website called Canva Badges and use your account to log in. Then you'll be able to see the badge that's assigned to you. So for example, this was the badge that was assigned to all the committee member for the Flutter workshop. There's also one badge that's assigned to all the participants for the Flutter workshop, but essentially it looks like this, and you can actually pin this to LinkedIn. Anyone with the correct link can view it. So essentially we are providing badges for you guys, and it's issued by our official club account. Yeah, so you guys can check out your email for this soon once you guys fill in the feedback form. Yeah, so now it's Q&A time. You guys can also leave. Thank you so much for coming to the workshop. Thank you. So thank you online for joining the workshop as well. I'm gonna end the recording now. Oh, you cannot transfer the Dutch. You cannot transfer. Yeah, so I'm gonna stop the recording now. You guys can watch it in your free time to learn more. So please fill in the feedback form lah. I'll paste the feedback form in the. Will there be a repeat of the previous partner workshop? No, but there's a recording for it. And I can send you the documentation for it if you want. Let me get it for you. previous workshop for Flutter. Yeah. If you guys want more Flutter workshop, you guys can also go into the comment and then like let us know that you want more Flutter workshop. Then we will organize more for you guys. Okay, let me send to you. Okay, let me paste. Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you online, thank you chat for joining. I'm gonna end the recording now. So see you. Thank you.